What happens when you accidentally hook up with the team's most notorious playboy, and then, right as your career is on the line, you find out you're carrying his baby? Our story begins with Rina Reynolds. She is the PR mastermind behind the Chicago Railers, a woman who wears her composure like a suit of armor. Rina learned the hard way that men leave. Her father abandoned her family when she was a kid, leaving her mother to teach her that independence is the only real safety in this world. Enter Oliver Van Doren, blonde, built like a Greek god, and packing a reputation that earned him the locker room nickname Big O. Oliver is the team's star player, a guy who usually has puck bunnies lining up around the block. But Oliver doesn't want them. He wants Rina. And 2 months ago, in a bass-thumping neon-lit nightclub, they crossed the ultimate line. What was supposed to be a one-time alcohol-fueled mistake turned into the most mind-blowing night of Rina's life, sparking a secret, highly illegal 2-month fling. But Rina is terrified. Her contract has an ironclad no fraternization clause. If anyone finds out, she is ruined. So she treats Oliver like a dirty little secret, keeping him at arm's length emotionally while unable to resist him physically. Oliver, however, is playing a completely different game. He is entirely obsessed with her. He corners her in dim equipment rooms at the arena, backing her into the shadows while the team manager is just feet away, driving her out of her mind with nothing but his hands and his whispered promises. He knows she's melting for him, but Rina's stubborn pride refuses to let her admit it. The tension absolutely skyrockets during a high society charity bachelor auction. Oliver has secretly planned the perfect romantic Chicago date entirely with Rina in mind. He's standing on that brightly lit stage, looking lethal in a tuxedo, waiting for Rina to lift her paddle. She actually bids on him, but her hopes are completely shattered when a wealthy, drop-dead, gorgeous blonde socialite named Gabby outbids the entire room with a cool $30,000. Rina is gutted. She has to stand in the ballroom, forcing a polite PR smile, while Gabby practically drapes herself all over the man Rina has been sleeping with. Oliver is furious that Rina didn't fight harder for him, and Rina is choking on a toxic mix of jealousy and heartbreak, realizing for the first time that this is so much more than just a casual hookup. Oliver decides he is done playing by Rina's rules. During a massive, heavily televised press conference the following week, surrounded by flashing cameras and hungry sports reporters, a journalist asks Oliver about his dating life. Instead of giving the standard PR answer, Rina trained him to say, Oliver leans right into the microphone and drops a nuclear bomb. He casually admits to the world that he is all in with a special woman, even if she isn't ready to go public yet. The media frenzy is instantaneous. Rina is standing in the back of the room, her boss Evelyn right beside her, and she is practically hyperventilating as the camera shutters echo like gunshots. Oliver's eyes are locked directly on her the entire time, throwing down an undeniable challenge. He is claiming her, and he doesn't care who knows. To make matters worse, Evelyn, the elegant and calculating co-owner of the team, decides to play matchmaker and sets Rina up on a dinner date with her nephew, Lucas. And by pure, agonizing coincidence, they end up at the exact same luxury restaurant where Oliver is suffering through his charity date with Gabby. Seeing Rina laughing and drinking wine with another man pushes Oliver completely over the edge. He abandons his date, tracks Rina down in the restaurant's quiet hallway, and shoves her into the restroom, locking the door behind them. The air between them is combustible. He strips away her defenses, his hands tearing at her clothes, pinning her against the cool tile. He doesn't just want her body, he demands her submission. He makes her beg for him, forcing her to admit out loud that she needs him, that she feels this intense, overwhelming connection just as deeply as he does. It is a raw, breathless surrender that leaves them both shattered and completely exposed. But the universe isn't done messing with Rina. The very next morning, she's sitting in a cozy bakery with her best friends, feeling utterly exhausted and fighting off a sudden wave of nausea. When one of her friends jokingly asks if she might be pregnant, the blood completely drains from Rina's face. She scrambles out of the bakery, races to a sterile, brightly lit pharmacy, and buys a test with shaking hands. 3 agonizing minutes later, sitting on her cold bathroom floor, her entire world collapses. 2 pink lines. She is pregnant with Oliver Van Doren's baby. This is her absolute worst nightmare realized. A baby means she is tied to a professional athlete forever, the exact type of man she swore she would never depend on. When Oliver tracks her down at her apartment, Rina is a pale, trembling shell of herself. She blurts out the truth, fully expecting him to panic, demand a DNA test, or walk out the door. Instead, Oliver drops to his knees. He looks at her with absolute awe and tells her to pack her bags because she is moving into his luxury penthouse immediately. He isn't running, he is stepping up. We quickly learn that Oliver isn't the arrogant playboy the media portrays. Having lost his father at a young age, Oliver values family above everything. He wants to protect Rina. He cooks terrible breakfasts for her, buys massive stacks of pregnancy books, and treats her like absolute royalty. The penthouse suddenly feels like a home. Adding to the chaos, Oliver's younger sister Kia unexpectedly shows up at the penthouse. She's dropped out of college, looking hollowed out and terrified. Rina eventually discovers Kia's secret. She is also pregnant, completely abandoned by her college hockey-playing boyfriend, who told her the baby wasn't his problem. Hearing Kia's story strikes Rina's deepest, darkest fears. It is exactly what she's terrified Oliver will eventually do to her when the novelty wears off. Men leave, athletes leave. It's a vicious cycle Rina is desperate to avoid, but they can't hide in their penthouse bubble forever. A fan snaps a photo of Oliver and Rina sharing an intimate, heated moment on a city sidewalk, and the image goes straight to a notorious sports gossip blog. The secret is out. They are immediately summoned to the owner's office. Hugh, the ruthless and domineering co-owner of the Railers, slides the contract across his desk, ready to fire Rina on the spot and destroy her career to protect the team's image. But Oliver refuses to let her take the fall alone. He slams his hand on the mahogany desk, his voice shaking with protective fury, and announces that Rina is pregnant. He tells the owners that they are a family, and if Hugh fires her, Oliver will publicly demand a trade to another city. It is a massive, high-stakes standoff. In a shocking twist, Evelyn steps in. She strikes a dark, unspoken, and incredibly tense bargain with Hugh, sacrificing her own leverage and yielding to his advances just to save Rina's job. Rina survives the meeting, but she is deeply rattled by how incredibly close she came to losing her entire identity. In the dim, echoing quiet of the arena's parking garage, the adrenaline finally begins to fade. Oliver turns to Rina, his eyes blazing with absolute certainty, and says, "Let's get married, right now." He thinks he is offering her security and proving his devotion. But for Rina, the proposal feels like a trap. Her chest seizes. She is convinced he is only doing this out of a suffocating sense of obligation for the baby. Terrified of losing herself entirely, Rina scrambles out of his Porsche, fleeing the garage and driving straight to her childhood home in the suburbs. She is running for her life. At her mother's house, Rina finally breaks down. But her mother, the woman who taught her to build impenetrable walls, surprises her. She reveals that she has finally found true happiness in a relationship with another woman, admitting that she wasted years of her life living in fear and hiding her true self. She looks Rina in the eye and tells her the ultimate truth: do not walk away from love just because it is terrifying. Later that night, Rina turns on the television to watch the Railers game. Oliver is on the ice, playing like a man completely possessed. He is fierce, reckless, and visibly hurting. When he scores a brutal, breathtaking goal, he doesn't celebrate with his cheering teammates. He skates directly to the camera, taps his heart twice, and points. He is claiming her. Right there on national television, he is telling her that he is never giving up. Rina finally understands what she has to do. When Oliver returns to his dark, empty penthouse hours later, completely gutted and believing he has lost the only woman he has ever loved, he walks into his bedroom and stops dead. Rina is waiting for him in his bed, wearing nothing but his hockey jersey. She tells him that she is terrified, but she loves him. They don't need a rushed, panicked wedding to prove anything. They just need each other. Oliver pulls her into his arms, tears in his eyes, burying himself inside her and promising her that she is enough and that he will never, ever let her go. The story closes with the two of them surrounded by cardboard boxes, trying to assemble a crib in their new nursery. The golden afternoon light spills over them as Rina laughs at Oliver's terrible construction skills. Oliver Van Doren, the ultimate hockey playboy, traded the deafening roar of the arena for the sound of his baby's heartbeat and the laughter of the woman who finally let him in. It is a beautiful, gripping story about the terrifying leap of trusting someone with your fragile heart and the realization that sometimes the very thing that ruins your carefully planned life is exactly what you needed to save it. What do you guys think? If you were in Rena's shoes, would you have risked your entire hard-earned career for a secret romance with a notorious athlete? Or would you have walked away the moment those two pink lines showed up on the test? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.